Zoom recording. So welcome. Thank you guys for coming on. Dan, I know you're making a big effort to be on. You're calling in from Vietnam and getting ready. You're in a hotel near the airport? Is that where you are? Okay.
Yeah, and we'll pick up Georgia a little bit after midnight. Nelson just got in.
Oh, he did? Okay.
He was twice delayed, and Georgia is once delayed.
Okay. All right. Well, what's going on? So welcome. Oh, Manjunat is there. Nice to have you, Manjunat. Thank you. And Dan Robinson. So we have a good group, and Scott rode his bike up to the mountain. So congratulations to Scott. If he starts to fade, we know why. All right, let me see. Yeah, Manjunat is on. So I'm not sure, Manjunat, if you're able to show your face for just a second, and then we'll do quick introductions. But I think you're the real novelty here. So, okay, there you are. Thank you, Manju, calling in from India. So why don't we just go through, a few of us are in the office, but we're all calling in because I think this will work better for what we're going to do in the faculty meeting today. What I'd like to do, I'll run over the agenda quickly and then get into some introductions, especially so Manjunat can connect a face to a name and what we're doing. We'll start out with introductions, and then I'd like to do the status of class 2019, which has finished their first term, their first semester, and then going into class 2020. Then we'll do an overview of the fall semester schedule, the courses, and the timing of them. Get a report on accreditation, which we have quite a bit to report on right now for that. And then I'd like to do a couple activities with the faculty handbook that's been newly revised, and we haven't had a chance to look at it much. Then any questions that you have, I'd like to also speak briefly to the PLA process that we've talked about in Dean's Council. So why don't we begin with some introductions? Let me see the best way to do it. Naomi, you're just to the right of me on the screen. So if you could briefly introduce yourself, what you're doing, and what you'll be teaching.
I'm Naomi Bates, and I'm working on the Biomeridian project, conservation environmental science project currently in Nepal, which we'll be taking around the world. I've also been working on some story mapping. My background is largely in physical sciences, environmental sciences, and hydrology and GIS. I'm going to be teaching a strategic resource mapping course, and let's see what else. I grew up in Pendleton County, West Virginia, so I'm familiar with the area, and I'm in the process of moving back there. But I'm currently located in Pennsylvania.
And we're happy to have you back here. Dan, you're next on my radar here. Dan Wessner, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, Christy, I don't know if you can hear me. Maybe give me a thumbs up if you can. I've been cutting in and out. Can you hear me?
Yep, thumbs up. Can you hear us? Okay.
Christy, can you? Okay.
We can hear you. Yeah, go ahead. Are you talking, Dan? We're not hearing you, Dan. Why don't we go ahead to Kelly and see if we can come back to you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fleming. Actually, I met Manjunat maybe a week ago now in an airport hotel in Delhi, and we had a great time and quite a nice lunch too. So that was quite nice to meet you in person. And yeah, I'm just kind of the learning management person at the moment, and I've got lots of different updates from last year to this year to kind of fill everybody in on that we'll talk about later on. So really excited to get started with Dan Robeson and Christy. Monday was our first Moodle lockdown date, if you guys remember from your chart. So Dan and Christy are very excited to have me in charge of their course for the next 2 weeks. And then Luke and Daniel and Manjunath, you have till Monday to get your course done. Anyway, yeah, so it's all go around here for me.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. Dan Westner, whenever you can just chime in. We didn't hear you at first, but we'll move. Can you? Okay, go ahead.
I'll try again.
There you go.
Very weak connection. Words.
Okay. Sorry, Dan, we don't hear you. We can see your face, so I think you're frozen. So we'll move on to Scott right now. Scott, I need to unmute you. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Yeah, Manjunath, great to meet you. I'm Scott Lawson. I currently reside in North Carolina, which is a couple of states down the East Coast from West Virginia. But I'm on North Mountain right now at the university headquarters. I will be teaching this spring, and I teach a course on innovation and entrepreneurship for nonprofit leaders. Like a lot of us here at Future Generations, I wear a couple of different hats. I'm also helping with some program development, mainly around a new program for leaders of World Scouts. So the scouting movement around the world, and we're hoping to get that launched this fall. So look forward to working with you, Manjunath.
Great. And Manjunath, you're next on my screen. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Scott. Yeah, Dan, nice to meet both of you. So I'm basically, my background is I did PhD in international health from Hopkins, and I worked in CDC for 7 years. And then I moved back to India last year. And I was a former student of Dr. Carl Taylor. And that's how I am associated with Future Generations. And I've known Future Generations since 2007. But it's a great opportunity for me to work for this. And I'll be teaching the Health for All course, ACC 602. And Kelly has already told next Monday is the deadline. So, so it was nice meeting Kelly last week. And hopefully I will have all the materials online by Monday. So, yeah. So nice to meet all of you. And hi, Naomi also. So nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Manjunath. It's great to have you on board with us, and thank you for joining our meeting also. I know it's late for you. Dan Westner, you raised your hand.
Yes, my connection is so bad, Christy. Can I speak to Scott's issue with the Scouts?
Yes.
I don't want to put it in writing on internet. I just want to say it real briefly and have him do some work.
Okay.
So if I cut out, at least I've gotten this across to Scott.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, Scott, go look at Wikipedia and look at the history of the Scouts in Vietnam.
Okay.
It's very problematic, and their current Wikipedia site is very accusatory of the current government. And I'm not sure that they're even recognized by the World Council, by the World Federation. According to the Wikipedia site that they have up, they're not part of the World Federation.
Okay, I'll check that out, Dan. Thank you.
My desire is to speak with our colleagues in Ganta when I get back down there.
Okay.
And ask them whether to proceed. If they are part of what is called the Fatherland Front, it means they're a recognized organization that's part of civil society. If they're not part of the Fatherland Front, it means they're not in good standing.
Dan, sorry, how do you spell that? The front organization?
Fatherland.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So all recognized elements of civil society are part of that front.
Okay.
But just looking at the Wikipedia site, it's really problematic.
Okay,
so
thank you.
I will let you know as soon as I talk to colleagues back in Ganta.
Okay, I appreciate that, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Did you want to say anything else about yourself, about what you're doing while we can still hear you?
Sure. It's been a whirlwind. I'd say every day has been good for recruitment, good for expanding the project, good for getting closer to closure with the HLC swing. We just had a great dinner with Nelson, and at about 1:30 in the morning, we'll pick up Georgia.
All right.
And then we're looking at 6 straight days with HLC and introducing them to no less than about 25 people.
Great. That sounds good. Well, they'll be good and ready to come to North Mountain then after having had that almost week with you.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I'll listen for as long as I can.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dan. All right, next I have Dan Robinson. Could you introduce yourself?
Hello, Majunat. I'm calling in from Juranabaque, Bolivia, which is in the Bolivian Amazon. I've been with Future Generation since their first cohort. I'm really interested in the model of where you have scholar practitioners sprinkled around the world as part of faculty, and so I really like the model and participated in many different ways. I'm going to be teaching the monitoring and evaluation course this semester, and then in the spring to the next cohort. But I have a farm here and an eco-sport venture, which I can, and my life interest is the sustainable use of the Amazon. So I see these as being means of trying to practice what I preach, and then use that in my teaching as much as I can. Welcome to Future Generations.
Thanks, Dan. Luke, you're next on.
Well, good morning, everybody. I think everybody knows who I am. I'll be teaching ACC this this fall, and then going to scale in the spring.
All right. Thank you. Jody.
Hi, I'm Jody, and I am your registrar and also work with the students with their financial aid and take minutes for your faculty meeting.
Thanks, Jody. And she'll be giving a report in just a minute on our class 2020 admissions. And then we have, Daniel, is that you on the phone? Someone is.
Noam, actually. That's Noam.
Noam, okay. Hi, Noam. All right, Noam, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, it's nice to meet you and welcome. I'm working on a flip book and possibly considering developing a story map on how to communicate seed scale to improve our communications of that and make it more accessible globally. I've also worked on a range of blogs that are based on Daniel's book, Just and Lasting Change, to give us a range of case studies that we'll have posted online on the Future Generations website and possibly on other blogs, describing seed scale through a case study method. Globally, in my own research, I have a focus on reparative justice in Rwanda and transitional justice issues. I recently completed a research fellowship at the Human Rights Institute at Oxford University, and I'll be moving to Washington, D.C. in about a month.
Oh,
nice to meet you.
Okay, great. Then we might get to see you in person.
That's right.
All right. Okay, thanks, everyone. Let's move on to the next agenda item. I'd like to just briefly show you what our class profile looks like for class 2019, and then Jody will speak to class 2020. Class 2019 ended their first term, and they'll be starting their second term in August. So just to give you an idea, a couple people have withdrawn, but in the leadership, I need to change leadership cohort specialization, we have 9 students that will be entering term 2. Yeah.
Can you cut your video?
I can cut my video. Let's see. I think okay. All right. Hopefully that will be better. Can everyone hear?
I can hear.
Okay. All right, sounds good. I guess we'll move to a mainly audio call here. And then we have 7 in the Vietnamese cohort. So we have 16 students moving into our second semester. Any questions about this cohort?
Now, this is explicitly our current student cohort.
This is class 2019 that's moving into their second semester. Still a couple question marks here, but right now we have the 9 in the leadership specialization and the 7 in the bending bamboo, the linguistic development education.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question. Like, how many entered the cohort? Like, and what were the reasons for not entering?
What are the reasons for a couple students withdrawing?
Yes, that's my question.
Well, I think, let's see. Well, a couple is just say they didn't participate. They essentially withdrew in the middle and stopped participating in the classes. And one felt that he had personal issues, and so it's best to withdraw at this point. Also, if they are not caught up in their tuition payments, then they're not able to continue. So those would be the reasons, a mix of personal, financial, and academic, actually.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Good question. Any other questions about class 2019 or comments? All right, I will stop share. Jody, could you report on where we are with our class 2020 admissions? We had an extension of the admissions deadline until August 5th. And so essentially the applications that we have now are what we will have for the class that's starting in just a few weeks. And the admissions committee is meeting tomorrow.
For class 2020, we have admitted 21 at this point. 5 of those are from Afghanistan, 4 from the US, 1 from Egypt, 2 from Ethiopia, 1 from Pakistan, 2 from Nepal, 1 from Kenya, 1 from Uganda, and 4 from Vietnam. Tomorrow we will be reviewing 16 applications. About half of those are missing their letter of reference, but we felt that we need to go ahead and review those.
Great, and Jody, could you or Scott speak to how many of those are scouts and just what the scout groups looks like?
Scott, do you want to speak to the scouts?
I can certainly give it a crack, and Jody, maybe you can fill in. Frankly, the situation is a bit still quite dynamic. We have some very qualified candidates who have begun their applications but not completed. So I'm in the process of sort of chasing them down right now to conclude those. We have other folks who have already been accepted, as Jody just reported, but have indicated that they have no ability to pay at all, which is going to put us in a bit of is a predicament for us, because we have established a policy of a floor below which we will not support a student on the scholarship side. So all of those issues will need to be, I guess, discussed and negotiated. I would say that we have probably a half dozen folks who look reasonably strong on paper from probably 4 or 5 different countries, who would be qualified for the program if they indeed finish their applications, and that's where we're focused right now. I had hoped that there would be 10 people in the cohort. That may at this point look ambitious, and so I'm putting together some options for us going forward with regard to where we are on the numbers count for the Scouts cohort. I'll have that tomorrow.
Great, thank you, Scott. A couple questions here, Kelly, just to reiterate. Jody, you had said no, I don't think it's 21 are not admitted yet.
21 are admitted, and
Oh,
we're
21.
reviewing 16 tomorrow, but
Okay.
at least 9 of those do not have letter of reference.
Okay, so in 4 of those admitted counted Vietnamese applications, and how many Vietnamese need to be reviewed tomorrow?
Let me get to that spreadsheet. There are 4 Vietnamese to be reviewed tomorrow.
Okay, so that will, and these Vietnamese have also been vetted, and so they're normally quite good applicants. So
those are the last 4 I was hoping to have their complete application in for tomorrow. There won't be any further for class 2020.
Okay, so there will be 8 in total then.
That's the goal, and I think you have them all.
All right. And as Scott alluded to, well, 21 admitted, that doesn't mean that many will matriculate. There's several who aren't able to pay, and so that's often the kind of where the rubber meets the road, if they're able to pay the deposit and able to pay commit to the tuition that they need to pay. Any other questions about class 2020 and what it's looking like right now? Actually, Luke, I was going to ask you to speak to any Appalachian applicants or admitted students at this point. Do you have anything that you want to say, or?
Just that we've, tried really hard. I think we've got more momentum underway. With American applicants, I had quite a number who I almost got over the finish line. Kirsten, as you know, I was really hoping we had 2 more AmeriCorps coming in this week, and they have since said they're not going to. It continues to be a process. I dropped off, but we do have, I believe, 3 or 4 4 admitted. I believe at this point 3 are very likely to do it. Maybe a 4th. I think out of those we will have, at least as of now, 1 of them is an AmeriCorps.
Yeah, that's great. I think what we're seeing is just gradual fruit of the labor, especially all that you've done, Luke. And I know it's gradual and there are a lot of disappointments there, but it seems that the word is getting out and we are getting some interest. So hopefully it'll continue to happen.
Christy?
Yes.
Sorry, it's Scott.
That's fine.
I just wanted to jump in here and pose a question for everyone. To your last point, I think indeed we are seeing a little bit more momentum. Certainly on the Scout side, it's been hard yards for me. We've had no help at all from the Scouts infrastructure on sort of reaching out to leaders. But Daniel is going to Kuala Lumpur next week to meet with the head of World Scouts, and off the back of that, they may give us their official mailing list and some form of blessing. All of which leads to my question is, would there be a possibility that the university would consider matriculating students in January? So students start in January, and if so, what are the implications for the first term courses that are being taught this fall, but would presumably need to be offered in the spring, or would students just pick up and carry on where they come in, etc.?
Okay, Daniel just joined. Welcome, Daniel. That's a really good question, Scott, and something that we have started to talk about. I don't think that we've talked about through all the implications, because there definitely are, a couple immediate implications would be that PRC 601 and ACC 601 Graduate Study Foundations and Intro to Community Change would both have to be offered again, and that would mean essentially I would be teaching year-round and Luke would be teaching year-round. The other possibility is that we change the order of the courses and that we don't require them to take those, what we have deemed up to now as introductory essential courses to start out with, and that they would take them out of order. So we've talked about it. Luke, I think you wanna chime in here.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Simply put, while the model Christy just ran out is what would need to happen. It's not going to happen for the spring because at least Daniel and I are already teaching going to scale, and that would be our 4th consecutive course in a row. And just so I can just tell you that's not going to happen. So I think, but as you say, Scott, we need to keep this option open. And so I think the very first thing is, is there substantial interest? I'm trying to get AmeriCorps students in for that exact same to enroll in January. So I think some of it is we look at our numbers. If you have 6 to 8 students, it suddenly merits offering courses in a way that we didn't, need to think about if you're only talking about 3 or 4 students. So I think that's one major consideration. And I think in the bit that we've talked about it administratively, or at least I know Christy and I have had a couple of chats, we've said, well, while there will certainly need to be at least part of the GSF course run out basically in January, February is an onboarding process, a orientation, if you will. They would probably do that and then essentially do most of the spring term as part-time students. And that's probably more realistic than having them go from 0 to 60 also with less than optimal supports from faculty and administration. So I think probably in all of this, to be developed as I would just keep saying as a disclaimer, but as of now, I think realistically they would need to onboard and then onboard as part-time students and really come on as full-time students in their 2nd semester. That's as of now what maybe that model is looking like as we've explored it.
So there are a lot of implications, which including in that.
If I could, this is Daniel. Sorry I'm late, folks. I'm the Denver airport.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Hi, I just wanted to, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm in the Denver airport, and so trying to keep things a little quiet. This point is very real, but the other thing that I'm having is I'm working through the strategic plan where we have some pretty strong recommendations coming from the work that Ruben did in 2017, the 10-point proposal that he is actually pushing me pretty hard as board chair. I don't see Ruben on this call. I hope he is.
He's not.
But he really is encouraging flexibility in our curriculum, and he's pushing that we faculty develop the sorts of approaches that Luke was just talking about. So I just want to say that this, in addition to what we have thoughts on this as faculty, we do have some board pressure pushing us towards flexibility, which is seen as an enhancement to enrollment.
All right, thank you, Daniel. So this will continue to be on the table for discussion and essentially working out the implications, especially that Luke was talking about. Any other questions about this in particular, or about our 2 classes that will be starting again, or class 2019 and class 2020? I'll be going over the schedule in just a second. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. First of all, I want to show you the courses that are going on. Starting August 20th, we have, with class 2019, Dan will be teaching monitoring and evaluation the full 18 weeks. Manjunat, Health for All, 8 weeks. 21st century. Yes, am I not?
No.
I'm sorry. Okay. What did I? Okay, let me go back. There you go. Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. Okay, here it is. Okay, class 2019, again, we have Dan teaching. It's the PRC sequence, so he's teaching the full 18 weeks. Health for All, Manjunat is teaching the 8 weeks, the first 8 weeks. Andrea is teaching the second 8 weeks, 21st Century Communications. And then Dan and Liz will be teaching, it's a PSK course, so also the second 8 weeks. Then running simultaneously, we will have class 2020. I'll be teaching PRC 601 again for 18 weeks. Daniel and Luke teaching the first 8 weeks Intro to Community Change. And Andrea will have both cohorts. So she'll have a fairly large class, 21st Century Communications, the second 8 weeks. And then Dan Wessner with his colleague Dr. Hipp will be teaching PSK 607, Theory and Practice of Language Acquisition. Questions about the schedule? We're jumping into something kind of new here and offering 2 at once. So this will be a challenge, and it will require a lot of cooperation, asking questions if you have any questions, and also a lot of grace, I think, especially for Kelly, who will be trying to work the technology, bringing on new faculty, and in ensuring that the students are also are caught up on the technology issues. Any questions about these courses?
The semester 1 dates, the calendar dates of semester 1 and 2019 semester, they're same or they're different calendar dates?
Let me go to this. Does everybody see? This is an email that I sent out to our class 2019 students. We haven't yet since we don't yet have the defined class for 2020, I haven't yet sent this out, but these are the dates. So here you have beginning August 20th, we have PRC 603 starting, and it will also be my PRC 601. This will be the first week is what we call base camp for class 2020, and recharge camp, you can see this here, for class 2019 because it's their second semester. So that's the first week, and that's also the first week of our PRC sequence. And then Manjanath, your class starts August 27th, but I think we also said it would be great for you to be on Dan's class so that you can meet the students that first week when they're coming back, they're recharged. So that's what we have here. I'm getting a comment, maybe Kelly, if you can help, if I need to pay attention to that comment. So then we have PS.
You're not sharing your screen. If
Still, I'm not? Okay.
I'm seeing it.
I see your screen. And it was my comment, Christy, this is Naomi. I was just asking if you could send that schedule to me or maybe to all faculty. Just it would be helpful to kind of know what's going on.
Sure, I will. Yeah, I sent it out to the people there. It was mainly class 2019. Luke, are you seeing the screen now?
Nope.
I am.
I am.
Yeah, we can see. I can see the email. Yeah.
Okay, it should be. Yeah, it should be. I'm sharing an email essentially.
Yeah, no, I'm getting gallery view. I'm very familiar with Zoom. This is really weird. Okay.
All right. So, well, you were sent the email back on, let's see, July 25th. So maybe you just want to.
I didn't know the email. I'm kind of familiar. I'm
sorry about that. Yeah.
It's not working.
All right. So August 27th is the official start date then of the first 8-week courses, and then October 22nd the PSK courses start. So that'll be, someone needs to mute themselves. Let's see.
Jody.
Jody,
Oh,
maybe.
sorry, I'm not muted.
Okay. Okay. It sounds like banging. All right. Any questions about this schedule as you look at it, the beginning dates of the courses? And then I'll move into what our base camp, recharge camp looks like, because I think those are important times and dates.
Yeah, so just to Naomi's point, yeah, that week, August 20th through that whole week is going to be pretty crazy for those people that are involved in those things. And actually, I think we will send another reminder that we wanted all faculty to come to that Wednesday, August 22nd session. No, oh, am I getting that wrong, Christy? Yeah, I am. So it's a little bit confusing because we're trying to keep the two different classes separate on Wednesday, and then together on Thursday. And so on the Wednesday, if you remember from last semester, we had that introduction day where we had all the faculty and all the staff come and meet the new class. Well, that's happening on that Wednesday. And then, except for Dan and Manjunath and myself, are going to be with the old class. And then on Thursday, the teaching faculty and all the students from both semesters, or both cohorts, or however you want to call them, are going to be together for that Thursday session. So yeah, we'll send out another clear reminder to know where you're supposed to be when. But those 2 dates are definitely good.
Yeah. Bottom line is that Monday and Tuesday, there are no Zoom sessions during the base camp, which is class 2020, and recharge camp, which is 2019. Wednesday, they'll meet with their individual cohorts from 8 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern. It's Eastern Daylight Time here. We need to make sure we get those time designations correct. Thursday, they'll meet together. We felt it important that the two cohorts meet together, see each other, and that class 2019 could share their e-portfolios, because there's a lot of learning opportunity that can happen there between class 2019 and class 2020, and that really aligns with our pedagogy that we want students to learn from each other. So they have great e-portfolios to share, and that's a perfect opportunity. Friday, then they'll meet back in their individual PRC courses, and this is really the opportunity that PRC has to have that dedicated Zoom time, because after that, PRC is just getting about 15 minutes of the ACC or PSK Zoom time. And so this is a chance to introduce the course, get some dedicated teaching time, teaching and introduction time. Then the official Zoom time for each of the courses, ACC, starting with ACC, will be 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time again on Wednesdays. So we're keeping with the same time that we had with the semester one. Any questions about that?
Christy?
Yeah.
This is Dan.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to the second term of the semester, I'll have 2 PSK courses going on Wednesday evenings.
Right.
Can we have one that would run in Vietnam from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and the other from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m.?
So you have, I think so. That's essentially what you did before. We'll talk about that,
Well,
but yeah, you'll need.
But I only had one
times.
course going then.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'll have 2 courses back to back, and we'll basically be online for 4 hours.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
And
and that works with colleagues at our end here.
Okay, yeah, that makes the most sense. And so that means that we'll need to communicate then with the PRC instructors to make sure that they can fit in at the beginning or the end of your course, that 15 minutes like you and I did.
Yep.
Okay, great. If you don't mind just reminding me about those times, Dan, by email, that would be great, and I'll note it.
Okay.
Any other questions about the schedule? I know it seems complicated, and it is, hopefully, between Kelly and me and the specialization directors will keep communicating with the faculty, and so this will all be clear.
I guess I just have a little bit, and maybe this is in some of the records, about clarifying exactly what we're doing on the Wednesday and Thursday sessions, because I guess my only concern is it's a lot of people and you can burn through a lot of time really quick. So I mean, to be completely frank, are we really going to have time to go through e-portfolios of the current students? And if so, those students need to be notified ahead of time and even probably, rehearsed a little bit.
You're right.
And some of that type of thing, because, even if we go up to an hour and a half, we're going to burn through so much time so quickly. And the kiss of death is for us to do quick introductions or something. And so I just want to throw all that out to make sure we're using that time very effectively, because it is important. time, but it's also very chaotic. You know, you're gonna have people are gonna be not necessarily everybody, you know, will be even have their videos up, you know, and that type of thing. So I just want to make sure we're making sure, you know, I guess that all I would say about the Wednesday and Thursday sessions is that we don't overload them in order that we can pull off the one or two most important things.
Yeah, I think the key there is the efficient use of breakout rooms for both introductions and sharing the e-portfolios. That's what I have in mind. But you're right, though, we need to give the heads up and think through it really carefully. Like the word that Dan Westner likes to use is choreography. So we need to have our choreography right for that.
Right. And also just to that point, Luke, my experience from doing this before is that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were all sort of repeats of people coming on and doing introductions and then following through with content. And that's why we actually only started the Zoom sessions on the Wednesday, because the idea is for Monday and Tuesday to be running around like chickens with our heads cut off, getting people into those Zoom sessions and having kind of drop-in sessions. It says here no Zoom sessions, but that's only for the recharge camp students. For the incoming class, there are going to be drop-ins. They're going to think that there's Zoom sessions Monday and Tuesday because on their schedule it will say, you know, show up. And so hopefully they'll have shown up at least once before that Wednesday. So yeah, so we don't have as much. I mean, so that's the design elements behind the plan.
Right.
But I totally agree. We do need to we got to get that choreography right.
Yeah. Other questions about the Zoom sessions or anything that you see on the calendar here? Okay, I will stop my share so I can see. Do you have any questions about, so we'll go to agenda item number 4 about accreditation. Dan Westner has already spoken to that. We have a 4-member team evaluating us from the Higher Learning Commission. 2 of those members are going to spend 5 to 6 days in Vietnam actually meeting students, because otherwise they wouldn't have the opportunity to meet the students. So apparently one has arrived, one is the chair of the team is actually arriving a little bit later tonight, probably in just a couple hours in Vietnam. So they have a packed schedule there, introducing them to essentially to future generations, what it looks like now. The chair is already familiar with us, but then to the students. So this will be a great opportunity for them to actually meet students face to face and understand what's going on. And then the full team, yeah, Dan?
We'll also be meeting faculty and administrators, as well as project holders, not just students.
All right, yeah, that's essential too. Then they will be with us on North Mountain for about 3 days in September. Later on in September, they'll get to meet more faculty here. I think that they'll get to meet other, I don't remember exactly. Dan, will they get to meet other students via Zoom during that time also?
Yes, they will.
Okay, so they'll get to see face-to-face and also our Zoom platform then. Eric Pappas isn't in this meeting, but he's done an amazing job writing to the specific criteria, and the 2 team members have a draft of that. Right now they don't have all the exhibits, but which is good. So they'll be able to offer kind of preliminary comments that may prompt a few more adjustments, but essentially our assurance argument is written and it'll be locked down, I think, at the end of August. And then the team will have a few weeks to read that and review it before they are with us in September.
The lock date is August 27th, and we'll have some further comments from Nelson and Georgia after this week in Vietnam, which will help with the final edit.
Right. Yeah, so that's good. Lots has gone into it. The biggest part of it, what's the word count on the assurance argument, Dan? 50,000 or something?
I think it's 40.
Right now we're at 39,000 out of the 39,800 out of the 40,000 we're allowed.
Okay, so we're right at the edge of the cliff on that one. And then any overflow can go into exhibits or attachments, so we'd have no limit with those. Other comments or questions? Lots going on. All right, what I'd like to do now, since we haven't had a chance to look much at the faculty handbook, I am going partly for my own information and partly to model something that we can use in Zoom that we haven't used that much. I'm going to start a poll. Can everyone see the poll that we have here?
I think you have to share it.
No.
Do I have to launch it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I see it now. Good. Okay, this is a good test then. So I'm going to launch a poll, and then I'll give you a few minutes to do it. Just 2 questions about the faculty handbook, and then we will spend the rest of the meeting doing about a 10-minute breakout group on the faculty handbook, because there are a couple really important aspects to it that we haven't gotten into much. So I'm launching the poll. Can you see it now?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. And I'm going to share the results.
Okay.
Did you see the results?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so my question number 1, did you know we had a faculty handbook before I sent it out a few days ago? Yes. Wow, 100%. Okay, it's better than I thought. And have you looked through the faculty handbook? 6 said yes, no 2. Okay, that's actually better than I thought also. Thank you. Great results. So that is the poll feature. And I'm going to close that. If you have any questions about how to use the poll in your class, Kelly is the person to go to for that. I think Luke has also used the polling feature in his classes.
I have. I've also sat on 1 or 2 pretty interactive webinars that have been, to me, the best examples of Zoom I've seen with people who really trained, and we did them very interactively, you know, multi-tiered ones, and then they incorporated the results back in the presentation. So you can do a lot with it. It takes planning.
Okay, great. What I want to do now is divide into 2 breakout groups. And I'd like you to bring up the faculty handbook. I attached it to the email that I sent out. So if everyone could go ahead and get that on your screen, because you'll be referring to a couple pages in the faculty handbook. So I'll be giving you, Kelly, do you mind if I think I'm gonna have to go a little bit over 11 o'clock, but I think this is important to be able to look at these for our classes. So please pull up the faculty handbook that you have. It looks like, let's see, let me share my screen. It looks like this right here. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to put you in breakout groups, and I'm going to, in the chat room right here, I'm going to type in the assignments for group 1. I want you to look at, okay, what do I have here? Authentic assessment, and that is page 36 to 37. And group 2, I haven't made the groups yet, so you'll just have to look at this when you see the group that you're in. Paired learning activities and artifacts, and that's page 38 to 40. So essentially 36 to, does everyone see that in your chat room?
Yeah, Christy, I think when you go to the breakout rooms, I don't think we'll be able to see this group chat again. I could be wrong.
No, you're right.
Okay.
We won't be able to see the group chat.
Okay, good. Okay, then maybe if you could just quickly write down the page numbers in the faculty handbook for the group 1 and 2, that would be helpful. So essentially I want to look at 2 things: authentic assessment and paired learning activities and artifacts, because those are two really key things to our courses. And then if you could, we'll report back briefly afterwards. So in each of your groups, if you could appoint